Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Miller's Military Moments, where I'm your host, Jason Miller, Master Sergeant Retired, and bringing you unfiltered stories from real military service members. So strap in, volume up, let's go. So where are we going today? Today, we're going to talk about, or I'm going to share some funny stories, some pranks, things that we do to each other to, I don't know, entertain ourselves or, pass the time, sometimes to break up the monotony. It's not necessarily to make anybody really mad, even though sometimes it does. Sometimes we definitely make people mad, or, the pranks go a little too far. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I'm going to share some pranks and some things that we've done to each other over time. Sometimes it's not about necessarily a prank, but about like challenging somebody to do something. So almost kind of like the triple dog dare you situation from the Christmas Story, right? Like if somebody says, "I bet you won't do that," it's kind of like, "Uh-oh, well, shit, I guess I've got to do it now," right? So it's kind of like that. And then sometimes money gets involved. So sometimes the answer is no, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's ridiculous. And then somebody will say, "Well, I'll pay you $5." And then somebody will say, "I'll throw in another $5." And then you'll see how long it takes to get up to a certain amount of money before they're like, okay, I'll do it. So sometimes money gets involved and convinces people to do all kinds of things. You've probably all talked about those stories and scenarios like, would you do such and such for $1,000,000? Would you, how much would it take for you to do such and such, right? Things like that. So we do that. Sometimes it evolves into that, scenario where we're like, we want somebody to do it so bad that we're going to give them money. So that's what we're going to talk about today. Some pretty funny stuff, but nobody was hurt too bad in any of these scenarios. So, hey, I want to give a shout out to all of my loyal Patreon members. Thank you all for your support. I really appreciate it. When you decide to give money to somebody to support their creative side, it doesn't go unnoticed, and it really means a lot. So I appreciate it so much. And again, hey, these ranks are just based on the tier level that they subscribe. So these are not real ranks in the Army. Okay. All of my tiers are based on ranks in the Army, and they get certain rewards for them. So, but thank you all so much for your loyal support. So Sergeant Ben Myers, Sergeant Art Bakuti, Sergeant Anonymous, and I still have no idea who that is. Staff Sergeant Patrick Riley, thanks for your continued support. Staff Sergeant JJ Schott, who is the longest supporter of Miller's Military Moments, which is really cool. Thank you so much. And First Sergeant Bobby Tebow, and I know, yes, he actually is a First Sergeant in the Army, but he subscribes to the First Sergeant tier. So thank you all so much. I appreciate your support, and hopefully y'all are enjoying the rewards such as these shout outs here, early access to episodes, and many other types of rewards. So if you're interested in becoming a supporter of the show, you can subscribe for even $1 a month to give financial contributions to help me continue to produce this show, all the way up to $100 a month, and you would be a general if you did that. So anyway, you can check it out, www.patreon.com/Miller's Military Moments, or you can go to my website, millersmilitarymoments.com, and you'll see the link either at the bottom of the page or on the right side for Patreon, and check it out there. So I appreciate it, but thanks again for all the support out there. And for those of you who aren't aware of my website, check it out, millersmilitarymoments.com. Best place to find me and all content related to this show. Got some really cool videos and resources up there, especially some of the videos that are related to today's show. So some of these we actually caught on video, and you can go and watch them, and they're pretty hilarious. So all right, so some of it involves food, right? Well, I think a lot of it involves food, actually. Maybe even more than half. Like, you won't eat this, or you won't eat that, or you won't eat X number of pieces of that, or something like that. It's like we're always trying to to challenge somebody's willingness to do something or go to a certain level, and just to see how far they'll go. And, this really started all the way back in some of these early stories were back in 2003. And I'll tell you, you've heard me talk about Seth Brown, several times on this show, and who we're going to get on this show. We had a schedule to recording, but some technical difficulties happened, but we're going to get him on here. He's a great NCO, great soldier, great person, awesome, husband, father, really, teammate, incredible American. But one of the funniest people that I know, honestly, and one of the funniest people that many of our friends know, but I've just had the opportunity to serve with him at a lot of our duty stations. So I've been around him and doing his shenanigans, as we call them. So, sometimes though, you got to be careful not to haze people and not to bully them. Like, listen, if they don't really want to do something, don't make them do it. If it's something that's going to hurt them, don't make them do it. Like, come on, like that's ridiculous. It's all in good fun. Could they get sick afterwards? As long as they're not too sick, I guess. That's, some of the people got sick after some of these, but they didn't really get harmed. When I say they got sick, they threw up and they got all the stuff out of their system. So, but anyway, Seth Brown seems to be involved in a lot of these. So the first one I want to tell you about is him and a guy, named Nathan Atkins. And this was way back in 2003. And I have no idea how this started, but here we are getting ready to eat breakfast. And 2003 in Iraq, if you haven't heard some of my early shows, and I was there for the initial invasion, and we were at Camp Spiker up near Tikrit, and pretty primitive conditions. So we were living in tents. We had for a while, only hot meals were either from the MKT, like our meal kitchens, right? Which essentially are just big MREs. It's not that they're really good. It's just bigger portions, bigger trays of the food so that you can hand it out. And then so basically we could bring those trays of food that were heated up over to the hangar area where we worked. And so you could just eat there and then not have to walk over to the meal kitchen because it could be a little ways away. So anyway, these things, it's I don't even know, maybe let's just say 18 inches by 12 inches wide, and it's full of one of these things. It's like sausage links. Okay. Sausage links. And it says on the package, I don't even know what it's called, sausage links with brine sauce, something, I don't know, but it sounds terrible. It looks horrible. It smells worse than either one of those two things. And yes, we have to eat it. Well, you don't have to, but trust me, we did because we're hungry, right? But these sausage links are drowning in this liquid, this brine stuff that is just disgusting, right? And so whenever you eat it, you just you definitely try to dry it off as much as possible. Get that, it just tastes like liquid grease that is about 50 years old and is just terrible, right? So somehow somebody, of course, said, hey, take a drink of that. Somebody take a drink of it. And I don't know who started it, but it turned into, man, I'm not going to do that, or I'll do it if you do it. And here we are. Now we're standing there, and I'm pretty sure Seth and Nate were like, okay, well, here's it's a cup, right? I don't want to say a measurement, but it's like a paper cup that you might get some Kool-Aid in as a little kid. It's not a big cup, but they're like, okay, well, how much do we have to drink? And then, they scoop it in there, and then they start looking at each other's so, with a so minute detail, you've got more than me, you have less than me, you need to put more in there. And it was just awful. And we're all just sitting there oh my gosh, this is going to be so bad. But of course we're laughing and we're egging them on, we're like, come on, let's go, stop, just drink it, and I don't even know what the competition was, just fastest to drink it, period. I think that's what it was. But so yeah, here they go. And they start drinking it, and I can't even remember which one, but I think it was Seth that choked at first, but it could have been Nathan. I don't know. But you could tell immediately as soon as it hit their tongue and their throat that it was so disgusting. And one of them didn't even get it all the way down. And I remember turning around and they threw up all over the place. And it was just, projectile vomit of this brine, this liquid, this nasty, gross stuff that, of course, I'm still laughing. And that was 18 years ago. And, we were all dying laughing. And, they were like, oh my God, this is horrible. Like, this is awful. Like, why are we even doing this? And I don't even know if they got any reward from it or besides just, oh, you are better at that than I am. But that was pretty hilarious. And, just one of those examples of doing stuff like that. But, oh, the brine was just terrible, man. I can't even believe they would do stuff like that. So, and then another time that same year we were down in the chow hall. This was, so later, probably, I don't know, 6 months, I think maybe late August, September, we actually got, a chow hall that we could go eat meals in. And so we were down there and they'd have like little condiments on the table. So you could have like Tabasco sauce. I mean, listen, if you don't know, Tabasco sauce or any kind of hot sauce, makes any kind of military food edible, right? And especially with MREs. So certain MREs will come with hot sauce. And certain, you'll often tend to try to pick the ones with hot sauce because you can pour it in there, or you get the hot sauce from somebody else that doesn't want it because it makes it edible. So there's always you're always going to be able to find hot sauce when it comes to military food and in a chow hall or wherever, right? And so somehow here we go, we got Seth Brown again. Somebody, I want to say money was involved this time, and it was like, hey, you won't drink that whole bottle of Tabasco sauce, and he was like, no, man, I'm not doing that. And then here we go. Somebody's like, well, I got $5. Well, I got $5. I don't even know how many of us. I want to say I got up to like 35, $40. And so he had to drink this whole bottle of Tabasco sauce. And he did it. I mean, he was dying and he was drinking all kinds of whatever. And of course, we're dying laughing. I mean, tears are coming down our face and we're crying. And we're like, oh my gosh. So that was another funny thing, and then money gets involved. And, one of the things to keep in mind too, to think about, like when we do things like this. So when we laugh at someone else's expense and, it's kind of make fun of them, that laughter and the funny stories gives us a boost in morale, for quite a long time sometimes. I mean, because we'll, end up laughing about it the next day, a week later, or a month later. And so it really does do a lot for our morale when we, do some of those things and we have some characters that are willing to maybe put a little bit of their health on the line to do some crazy things for us. So, it really, they didn't know it at the time, but they were helping our morale. And so, Seth was definitely one of our big morale boosters, no matter where we were and what we were doing. So there's another one, that same deployment, one of the pilots in the unit next to us, Mr. Houston, and we actually were in the same unit after that, but still at Fort Hood. And I don't know. Oh, it was butterscotch pudding. That's what it was. I was trying to remember what it was. But so you get these, like, I want to say it's maybe a quart or a half gallon. I know it's probably two different big measurements, but it's like a big can of butterscotch pudding, right? And so sure enough, it came out to be, okay, you won't eat it, or you won't eat this much of it this fast. And then you've got to like run out to a quarter mile out to the flight line and do 10 push-ups and then run back, and you can't throw up within like 20 minutes. Now, Mr. Houston is a former Marine, so, he's pretty tough, and, and he's a pilot now, but he still carries some of that toughness from the Marines over to him. So he was like, oh, of course I can do it. I can do any of that stuff. And, so here he is, he eats it all up, and he's just like, I mean, he's hurting bad, like, ugh, like, oh my God. And so he eats it, and then he has to run down to the flight line, and he starts running back, and he didn't even get all the way back and starts throwing up all over the flight line, butterscotch pudding everywhere. And of course, it was an enjoyment to us. We were having a good time at his expense, and that was pretty funny. So another one, now this one's a little bit different. And this is where, like, listen, you've got to be careful with hazing and bullying people, because, this one instituted some or initiated some talk. Like we had to kind of have a conversation among us, and some leaders had to come talk to us and tell us like we can't push it too far in this one, because we picked on this one person maybe a little too much. But so this one, if you're not familiar, so the M249, it's a squad automatic weapon. It's like a bigger machine gun if you're not familiar with it. But anyway, individual carries it. And in 2003, we carried our personally fired weapons with us all over the place. So most of us carried M16s, but we did have a few saws, as we called them, squad automatic weapons in our section and platoon. And so we had a couple of them that were carrying them around, and they were heavy, and they were 200 rounds of ammo. It's heavy, and it's a pain in the ass. You got to carry it every time you went to go eat, every time you left like the immediate area. And so this particular one, this weapon, it has a bipod, and you can set it on the ground, and it'll sit on the buttstock on the back, and it's got a bipod, and so you don't have to put it in the gun rack or anything like that. And but you can actually take like all the pins that hold it together. You can take them out and leave it sitting there on the bipod just like it looks like normal, okay? And you won't even notice unless you just knew that the pins were taken out. So somebody said, hey, let's take all the pins out of this guy's saw. And when he goes to pick it up, we're getting ready to go to chow, and then, it'll all fall apart. And they were like, man, really? Was it really going to do that? And then, of course, we all thought, oh, man, this is going to be hilarious. This is funny. So somebody took out all the pins, and then it's time to go eat, and the gun's sitting there, and he goes to pick it up, and he's kind of like, hey, wait up, guys. Hold on. And he grabs the handle to pick up his gun, and it literally just falls apart. And I don't even know, 4, 5, 6 pieces or how many pieces it was, but it just fell apart, and everybody started dying laughing, and he got so mad. I mean, he was yelling at us. I think spit was coming out of his mouth. He was so mad. If I had to defend y'all with my saw, y'all would want it to be working right, which he is right. We definitely would want it to be working right. And maybe we took it a little too far, because this guy, we did pick on him a lot, but some of it he brought on himself too. So with some of the things he did or said, but we probably pushed it a little too far on that one, and shouldn't have done that. But he got so mad when that gun just fell apart, in the hangar floor there. We're like, oh my God. So that one was, pretty crazy. So another time we went to the field, and this is the time, so field and deployments, right? That's when a lot of these crazy things happen. And it's not necessarily because you get bored, not bored, but maybe tired of the monotony. So even in a combat, deployment, you're flying, you're fixing, you're fueling, you're doing your job every day, all day. And then you just, some things to break up the monotony. And so one of the times we were out in the field, and this was at Fort Hood, and for whatever reason, a bunch of 9-volt batteries there, and somebody says, I bet I can hold it to my tongue longer than you. Like, really? Like, that's what this comes down to. We're trying to hold our tongues to 9 volts longer than everyone else. I guess no one has ever said that Army soldiers are the brightest of the bunch, even though in aviation, we typically are a little bit smarter. But hey, so this is on video on one of my, on my website, actually. So if you go to millersmilitarymoments.com and you click on the Charlie Company 3-4 video out in the field, you'll see it in the video of them holding the 9 volts to their tongue, and you can see it, and they're sitting there holding it to their tongue, and then like one bails out, another bails out, another bails out, and then and I want to say, I can't remember who it was, but whoever won it, he puts it like on his teeth and stuff, and like, oh my gosh, I don't even know why he did that or what he won because he did it, but that's some of the things that we do for entertainment. And so we moved to that same company, Charlie Company 3-4, when we deployed later that year, because that was in 2005 we went to the field. So when we deployed later that year, we definitely, in 2006, one of the funnier videos and one of the funnier moments, definitely, so it included Seth Brown again. All right, so here we are, and we're working at night, and because you can see it in the video, and yes, this one's on video for sure. So somehow somebody said, hey, smell the ammonia inhaler that's in the medikit. and the kind that, you use to wake people up, like if they're passed out, or whatever. And somebody, sometimes you have some extra supplies, right? And you can do funny stuff with them. So anyway, I think it took, maybe a few days to kind of get his courage up or get the guts to do it. And, so anyway, we're getting ready to do it. And then we had a videographer decide that they wanted to video it. And this person is our safety officer, by the way. And he also videos another one too. Actually, I think he videoed all of them, the stories, except for 2 secs coming up. But so Brown like exhales like every bit of oxygen he has, and and then inhales it, and just immediately you can just see like he just starts freaking out. His voice changes, high pitch, and it's like burning, and you can hear him say, "It burns, it burns." I mean, like I think I'm crying because it, like I was empathizing with him, like, oh my God, I can't even imagine, but it like shocked him. And he was just like freaking out for a few seconds. I don't even know, probably 15, 20 seconds. And then, they're videoing him. You can hear us all laughing and stuff. And then like right afterwards, he's like, oh, I got to go fly now. And I was thinking, oh shit, we probably shouldn't have done that when he's getting ready to go fly on a mission, give his brain some time to heal. But, we don't think about stuff like that all the time. The repercussions of it. We just think it's funny, and let's just do it. And so he did it, and that was hilarious. So yeah, definitely go check out that video on my website. When you go to the site, you can click on videos, and if you're on mobile, the top right side where it's got the 3 lines, you hit that, and then you'll see videos on there, and go check out the videos. They're pretty funny. So that was a good one. Now, another one, Jack decided, I don't know how this came about either, but, somebody said to put like, I don't even know, 3 or 4 packets of hot chocolate in his mouth. And he had to like try to keep it in his mouth for, I don't even know, 30 seconds or whatever it is. But of course, this one's on video too. And that one might not be on my website, which I'll need to get up there. But yeah, so all the packets get poured in his mouth, and his cheeks look like he's a chipmunk. I mean, they're huge. They're just, his whole mouth is full of this hot cocoa powder. As you can imagine, it just soaks up every bit of saliva that he has, in his mouth. And he starts to cough, and it comes out of his nose. And starts going everywhere. And once you start to cough, like that's it. Like you can't hold it. You can't stop it. And so he sits there and starts coughing, and it comes out of his nose, and then he ends up blowing it out. But that one was, definitely a pretty funny one. And old 2 Sec, one of our door gunners, which, we really welcomed those door gunners in. They were people that sometimes they were, Black Hawk guys, but they were in a maintenance unit coming over to be crew chiefs because we just needed all the help we could get. We didn't have enough crew chiefs. I mean, we were full according to what the Army said we were supposed to have, but we were flying way more than we could with our current allotment. So 2 Sec, I think he was an airframe mechanic, but he came over to fly with us and did a great job. And we just welcomed him into the family and loved having him over there. He decided to eat a brownie mix one day, like somebody, got it in a care package, but what are you going to do with it? Like you can't make a pan of brownies over there, right? Well, I guess you could if you went to the chow hall and got like milk and stuff and borrowed their oven, maybe, I don't know. But somebody challenged him to to eat this whole thing, and he did. And then he ends up over, behind the hangar, throwing it up everywhere. And it was so funny. About a day later, somebody was like, "Hey, I think that brownie mix is actually baking into brownies because it was so hot." And of course, we went over there and looked at it. It really wasn't, but it did look like it was, maybe expanding a little bit. So, but that one was pretty funny. And the last one, is, I don't know if it's maybe the most epic or, it's pretty funny. So Jeremy, one of our crew chiefs, was challenged with eating a 1 pound bag of Skittles. An entire pound bag, and he couldn't chew them. He could only swallow them, but he could drink water, so he could use the water to swallow them. And the amount of time he got was however many dollars was put on the table for him to win. And I want to say, I think it was $40. So it was like $40 he could win. And then that's also, he only got 40 minutes, I think is what it was. That's also going to be on the website. So check that out. It's a couple different videos where he's sitting there eating them and swallowing them, you know, and trying to anyway. And it's just like, you can tell it towards the end, like it is hurting so bad in his stomach, all that sugar at one time. I mean, a whole pound bag of Skittles, like, goodness. And so, and again, I'll remind you, the videographer is our safety officer. And so anyway, Jeremy does it. He eats them all and then immediately comes outside and starts throwing up. And when I say he's throwing up the colors of the rainbow, like it literally is. I mean, there's whole Skittles all over the ground, and you can see, you know, he drank a lot of water to try to get them down, and they were all over the ground. And after the first couple times, you'll hear our safety officer saying, "Do it again, do it again." And he does. He throws up some more, and it all comes out, and we're all like, "Oh my God!" I mean, it was so terrible, you know. I don't remember how bad he was feeling after that, or if he, you know, recovered because he threw it all up and was good to go. But that one definitely was a pretty epic one. Especially with throwing up all of the whole Skittles. Like, you know, none of them were digested or anything. These whole Skittles were everywhere, you know. So that's a little bit insight into, you know, some of the pranks we do, some of the challenges that we do to ourselves, and, you know, something to kind of break up the monotony. And, you know, we pick on each other a little bit and have some fun. And, you know, we get triple dog dared in the current terms of, I bet you won't do this, or, you know, hey, money talks, right? We start offering people money to do things, you know, they'll do it. So there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed, you know, today's episode, a little bit lighter moments, which we did have, you know, in some of our deployments, especially when, you know, in 2006, we were, even 3 and 6, we were, you know, under a lot of stress. I mean, we were working hard, and the mission was tough, and the op tempo was, you know, through the roof, and we were just extremely busy. So anytime we got a chance to laugh and do some funny things like that, you know, we did. And hopefully y'all enjoyed it, got some laughs out of it. And, you know, hey, check out the website with the videos. It's funny. You'll enjoy it. But yeah, millersmilitarymoments.com, and then click on the videos, and you can see all the videos, and I'll make sure the rest of them are uploaded there. So, all right. Well, hopefully everybody is doing well, staying safe out there, being happy and being yourself. So until next time, I'm your host, Jason Miller, Master Sergeant Retired, bringing you unfiltered stories from real military service members. Strap in, volume up, let's go. All right, until next time, peace.